Hi everyone. Today we're going to continue our lesson from last class. We started last class talking about relations, right, and ways of representing a relation. And then we went on to how we can find the domain and range of graphs, right? So the domain of a graph are all the possible x values that the graph can have, and the range of a graph are all of the y values that are included in that graph or in that relation. Okay, today we're going to start talking about what a function is and the difference between a relation and a function. Okay, so a function is a special type of relation that doesn't repeat the x values. All right, so the question would be, are all functions relations? Yes, all functions are relations. However, are all relations functions? No, we can have a relation that repeats the x value, whereas a function does not repeat the x value. So we have these exercises over here where I ask you to determine, I have all of these are relations over here, right? Because a relation is a set of ordered pairs, but not all of them are functions. So which of these are functions and how could you tell? Once again, you're going to have to look at the x value. So this is a 5, a 3, a 2, a 0, and a -1. If the x values don't repeat, then yes, this is a relation, okay? Number 2 is a relation. Let's take a look at the x values. -2, 0, 2, 3, and 2. We have a repetition in this case. We have 2 and 2 repeating. This means that no, this is not going to be a function because there are repeated x values, all right? Number 3 is a function. Let's take a look. -4, -3, -2, 1, -3. They repeat. Therefore, number 3 is not a function. Number 4, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nobody repeats. Therefore, this is a function. Okay? Numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to ask you to stop a minute and just scribble down on your piece of paper which ones you think are functions or not, and then we're going to check. All right? So number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, here we have our answers. Number 5 is not a function because 3 is repeated. Number 6 is a function because the x values don't repeat. 7 is, 9 is, 10 is, 8 is not because we have 4 and 4 in the x values. Number 11 and 12 and 13, now we have mapping. We have to remember that each of these bubbles, they represent the domain and the range. So we can have more than one ordered pair. So let's just take a look at number 11. What would be the ordered pairs over here? Remember, they connect. This shows the connection between an x value and a y value. So you can see that -3 on the x is connected to 0 and the y. This means that we have 1 point -3, 0. The other point would be -1, 4. -1, 4. The other point would be 2, 7. So we would have the point 2, 7. And we would have the point 4, 4 as the last point of this relation. Is this relation a function? Do they repeat the x values? No, the x values are not repeated. Therefore, yes, this is a function. Okay? Number 12. Let's take a look at number 12. Try to figure out, over here, I'm going to try to figure out the ordered pairs. So the first ordered pair I have is -4, 4. So let's write that down, -4, 4. Second ordered pair is -1, and you see there are two arrows, so we're going to have two different points. -1 going to -1. And the other point would be x -1 connected to y 7. -1, 7. Immediately, I hope you guys can see that these two over here are repeated x values. This means that this is not going to be a function. This relation is not a function because for the same x value, we have two different y values. All right? Number 13. Number 13, once again, let's take a look. Or we can do this by head. -1, 2 would be 1 point. 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 5. You see, we don't have one x value generating two y values. Therefore, this means that this is a function. There are no repeated. Next one, functions and the vertical line test. Okay, so this is just an easy test for you guys to see. If I give you a graph, how can you tell if this graph represents a function or not? All right, not all graphs represent functions, and hopefully we'll be able to understand which ones do and which ones don't. So it's pretty simple. The vertical line test, and this is something that falls in a lot of tests in the IB everywhere, guys. So this is something you guys should really know. The vertical line test is the test to see if you have a function, if the graph that you have represents a function. And what you have to do is you have to get your pencil and you're going to scan the graph, move the pencil across your graph. So, for example, in number 14, you're going to have your pencil over here, beautiful pencil, and you're going to start moving it across the graph. The pencil's going to keep on moving. And the idea is the following. If your pencil touches the graph twice, this means it's not a function. Okay? So you're going to start moving your pencil and scanning the graph with your pencil. If your pencil at some point, so over here, it's not touching anywhere in the graph. Over here, it's not touching anywhere in the graph. But over here, can you guys see that it touches twice? It touches the graph at 2 different points. If it touches the graph at 2 different points, this means that this graph is not a function. It does not represent a function. So we can say that this one is not a function. And if you think about it, this makes sense because this point over here has the coordinate -3, 1, and this point over here has the coordinate -3, -4, and you guys can see that they repeat the x values. So if your pencil touches the graph at 2 points or more, okay, at the same time, then it is not a function. Number 15. I want you to stop a minute and try to figure out if this is or is not a function. If you did it correctly, you're going to see that if I scan my pencil, I'd only touch once, 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 and once. So if I scan my pencil vertically, I'm doing the vertical line test. This graph, yes, it's a function because it passed my vertical line test. So passing the vertical line test means only touching once. All right? Number 16, if you get your pencil over here and you start scanning it, you're going to have several lines, and hopefully you can see that no matter where you scan your pencil, the pencil only touches the graph once. So this one passed the vertical line test. Yes, it is a function. Number 17, getting your pencil and moving it around, immediately you guys can see that it touches at 2 different points, right? Therefore, this is not a function. It failed the vertical line test. Number 18, start scanning your pencil. Over here, it's not touching anything. Over here, it only touches at 1 point. But immediately afterwards, you can see that the pencil touches the graph at 2 points. Therefore, it failed the vertical line test. This is not a function. All right? Number 19. Let's scan number 19. So over here, it's touching down here, right, guys? This is a little arrow, means it goes on forever. Touching only once, touching only once, touching only once, touching only once. Over here, it's still touching only once at the vertex, right? And we keep on only touching once. Therefore, it passed the vertical line test. Yes, it's a function. Number 20. Number 20, if I start scanning the graph vertically, you're going to see it doesn't touch, doesn't touch, doesn't touch, until it overlaps with the line. Is it at how many points is this overlapping? At infinite points, right, guys? So over here, we're not overlapping at 2 points, we're overlapping at infinite points. So it doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, 4, or infinite points. If they overlap, if there are 2 points that touch your vertical line at the same time, it failed the vertical line test. Therefore, it's not a function. All right? And finally, number 21 is a little bit tricky. Over here in the first one, you can see that it touches only once over here, only once over here. Of course, guys, this is a scan, right? There are infinite little lines I could draw in the middle, but hopefully you can see that in every single one of these lines, it only intercepts your graph at one point as I scan the graph vertically. All right? So I could draw any sort of infinite vertical lines anywhere, and they would only touch the graph at one point. Therefore, yes, it's a function. Okay? And now I think you guys can get started to work on these last two IXLs, IXL Algebra 1 Q.4 and Q.5, and you can do the entire Homework 1 worksheet. People, if you're having a hard time understanding how to find domain and range of graphs, then I really need you guys to do the worksheet and not just the IXLs. And if you're having a hard time understanding the worksheet, email me. We can schedule a time and go over it. Domain and range is not a simple concept. It's a very important one, and it's not so easy. So please let me know if you're having a hard time.